Taking the teenager's assurance to heart, all the turmoil that had been eating up my insides settled down. Winnie's smaller hand squeezed mine as we both said our final farewell and set Willow's soul free to wander wherever it wanted. I leaned over to drop a kiss on the top of her head. She loved you the most. I never wanted Winnie to doubt her mother's devotion. Winnie embraced me from the side, wrapping her arm around my waist while wiping her wet cheeks with her sleeve. You too. She loved you a lot, Aunt Channing. My niece nudged me in the ribs and gave me a knowing look through red, tear-stained eyes. She's not the only one who loves you. She twisted to look over her shoulder where Wynne was waiting. I'm sure you know that. I refused to turn my head. I could sense Wynne's eyes intensely staring at my back. Pretending that I was unaffected was challenging when the man I couldn't stop thinking about stood a few feet away. How did you know where I was? I'd done my best to keep her updated on my whereabouts so she wouldn't worry, but I hadn't considered this beautiful island as my last stop until I overheard a drunk tourist in Rome loudly insisting that it was a must-see. I impulsively decided to make the trip based on the vague description the following day. I hadn't had time to discuss the details with Winnie yet. The teenager turned and started to drag me toward Wynne. She laughed softly and asked, How do you think? I've always known exactly where you are. Of course she did, because I was Wynne Halliday's wife, even if I wasn't sure I wanted to be, and there was no chance he wasn't tracking me from the moment I left his side. He controlled things that were way bigger and better than me. He blindly played with people's lives. I should be just another insignificant bump on his golden pathway. But Wynne never made me feel that way. I was supposed to be an accessory he owned, to use as he wanted to achieve his goal. However, he tried to integrate into my life from the minute I signed the contract agreeing to marry him for 2.5 years. As time went on, it started feeling increasingly like he was the one being owned and manipulated, not me. I wasn't sure how I ended up with one of the richest men in the world doing his best to work his way into my heart, and I had no clue what to do with him. We didn't have any reason to stay married, and there was a literal fortune waiting for me after we went our separate ways. So why did the idea of leaving this man to decide what he wanted to do with our agreement terrify me to the point I ran to a different continent? It appeared that the time to answer all the questions between us had finally come.